This broadcast is a Stephen K. Media production.
The success of the small business person is the cornerstone of the American economy. Welcome to the Small Business Today Show with your hosts, Cruz and Hughes. The Small Business Today Show is for and about small business advancement and development. What we do for you. We'll be taking your calls as we provide you small business intelligence and mentorship needed to grow your business creatively. Keep listening. The Small Business Today Show with Cruz and Hughes starts now.
Hello and welcome back to today's episode of Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. I'm John Cruz.
I'm Irv Hughes.
And this is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. If you want to join the conversation, we always encourage you either to go right into the chat room on Blog Talk and bam away at your keyboard and put your questions in, or you can give us a phone call right here in the studio at 347-857-3958. Again, that number here is 347-857-3958. Irv, my friend.
Yes, sir.
How was your day today, sir?
Had a great day today, man. Had an opportunity to go out and have a hobnob with some people and had a luncheon, had a great piece of chicken.
Get out of here.
Yeah, man.
Man, that does sound fantastic.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. You're saying that because you're probably hungry.
I am. I always come here hungry, and our producer, Stephen K., always brings lunch for one himself. Yeah. And so, we go through a little bit of duress while we're here, smelling the burger and the fries and what have you.
Just a little bit of duress, folks. Just a little bit.
Well, I tell you what, we have a good show lined up for you today. We have a great guest. We're going to keep in step with our advisors, if you will. We had an advisor on yesterday.
That's right.
And we had a good show talking about those three items that Lynn brought up. And if you did not catch yesterday's show, you definitely want to go to the archives and do so. Our guest today is Miss Yvette Scheiber. And am I saying your last name right?
You are.
Yvette Scheiber. I like that. Yvette is the president and CEO of YRS Advisors, which is a Houston-based business consulting firm that specializes in helping the small business owners and executives build what she calls exceptional businesses. Now, Yvette has experience in working with organizations ranging from small to multinational, and she's worked in the sectors of energy, legal, financial services, information technology, and education. Yvette has earned her BS in speech and a BBA in management information systems from Lamar University. And Yvette, I want to say welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. You and I have been friends for a little while, and we've talked about doing this for a minute, and I'm finally glad that we got a chance to get you here. Let's start out by talking a little bit about YRS Advisors. Now, tell me, what is that, and what type of client are you looking for right now? What is your average client?
Okay. Well, YRS Advisors is a business advisory firm. Now, I always say you need three things when you start a business. One of them, an attorney.
Absolutely.
Next thing, an accountant. Third thing, me.
The trilogy or
That's
the trinity.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. I focus on running the business.
Okay.
So when I work with a client, it is about what an owner or executive needs to think about, do, understand everything about running the business and running the business in this small business environment, which is totally different than a corporate environment.
Sure, absolutely. And, in corporate environments, a lot of times there's all these people around, right, who do all these things. But then when you get in a small business, you don't have all those people around that's doing this specific little thing and that specific little thing. And so I can see where somebody like you would be very, very valuable to a small business.
That's the truth. I mean, when I was in corporate environment, any place I looked, I found a consultant.
Yeah, that's right.
And the more I moved up in the company, the more consultants there were.
Yeah.
But for the small businesses, I think a lot of times they're not sure, one, what kind of advisor to get. What do they need to have? And then two, well, how much is this going to cost me?
Right. And I'm sure it does come down to cost. And but before we get into cost, let's talk about the typical client that YRS Advisors goes after. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, our typical client is a professional services company, and they need to be a company that has fewer than 500 employees, because that's how the U.S. government defines, in general, a small business.
Sure, that's a size standard.
That's right. That's a side standard. Now, as you know, there are all kind of other standards such as money and profitability and things like that, but we kind of keep it kind of simple.
All right.
I don't work with retail. That's a whole different animal than services. And my background is in energy services, financial services, things like that. So that's what I stuck with.
Yes, because I was going to ask you, are those your preferred industries? That's where you have some experience and expertise.
Those are preferred, but what I'm finding, the more that I work with people, the more a small business isn't defined necessarily by an industry, but it's defined by how that business interacts with its particular community, its target audience. And so a lot of the things I have to do in problem solving cut across just about any industry. The reason I take retail out is because retail, you're concerned about location for stores and flow, traffic, and things like that. And I'm not a real expert in that.
Okay. And you know what? I like someone who knows their limitations. You stick to what you're good at and where you give the most bang for the buck, as it were.
Right.
Now, tell me, why do people hire you? What are some of the problems that small businesses are having when they come to you and they say, look, Yvette, I'm having this issue. I need you to solve X for me.
Some of the main problems are around, one, people, hiring, leading, motivating, those kind of things, and training them and keeping them up to date. Another is visibility. You know, there approximately 87% of all companies are small. But a lot of those companies are virtually invisible except to the small community they have. So they want to get larger. I mean, I haven't met a small business leader yet who says what I wanted to do when I started this company was stay really tiny where only a few people knew who I was.
Right. And so now, what motivated you to move from the corporate circles you were in to come out here and start helping small businesses grow?
Well, I, like other women, took a break from the corporate environment, the whole family thing. When I decided to come back into the work world, I kind of tapped into something I thought about when I was probably 11.
Oh, wow.
And that was, I want to have my own business. So I looked at what I did well. Again, it's knowing what you do and doing that thing well. I said, well, I know a few things. I tried a few other things out. And every time, and one of them was marketing. And every time I was sitting there with a client, we'd end up talking about just running the business.
Wow.
And I found that my clients said, you know, that's really great that you want to focus on marketing, but every time we have a question about running our business, you seem to know how to help. And so we restructured. I went through and restructured the business to focus on that.
Now, Yvette, a lot of small businesses, there are three areas that I find that a lot of small businesses really need to pay attention to at their very core. One part, and I don't know what else to call it. So one part I would call administration. That's contracts administration. That's where you need legal help and that kind of thing. How are you going to position yourself, that sort of thing. And then the second one perhaps would be finance. In other words, now keeping up with the accounting and keeping up with the money in and money out and sales and that sort of thing. And then perhaps the third group is operations, literally operating the business. What happens when the phone rings? What happens next? Who does that? If something goes wrong with a customer, who handles that? And literally having somewhat of a process or a procedure by which the rules of engagement are enforced on how this business operates internally. And so my question is, with all that setup, do you focus on all three of these areas, or do you lean toward operations more than finance, or do you do a little of all of it?
Where I focus is on what a president, owner, or CEO and their leadership team would need to know. So it's all of that.
Gotcha.
But it's at that level of the owner executive as opposed to mid-management level.
So you have to work at the C level in the company, period.
Correct.
Okay, because that's where change can happen, and that's really high enough up the food chain where if changes do need to be implemented based on what your findings are, then those things can happen.
Exactly. I say that's the person who can write the check.
Yeah, right.
And they can ultimately make it happen.
Sure.
And that's who I work with.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, I'm always curious to know this question. When we have someone on the show who advises small business people, and small business people can be mavericks, renegades. Sometimes they don't necessarily play well with others. So how often is it that you will develop a strategy or you help them work out a problem or work themselves through a situation and they don't take your advice? I know they're still paying for it nonetheless, but I'm just curious as to, does that happen much in your business?
It can happen early in the relationship, because the other thing with small business leaders is they really have to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have skin in the game.
Okay.
So I don't look at it so much as, are they taking my advice, but am I working with them in a way that they feel like I'm hearing them,
mm-hmm.
and that I'm understanding their particular situation, their environment, their problem, their goal, desire, whatever it is. So a lot of times in early stages, they're hesitant to do something I'm asking them to do, especially if it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
But as we build up the relationship, then all that goes away.
Wow. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Miss Yvette Schreiber. She is the president of YRS Advisors. And if you'd like to connect with her, you could do so through her business website, which is yrsadvisors.com. You could also call her business office at 832-308-2407. Do you work with companies nationwide?
Yes.
All right. There you have it. If you're not in the Houston footprint, it's okay. You can still give Yvette a call. You're listening to Cruz and Hughes on Small Business Today. Guys, stay with us. We'll have more in just a moment with Miss Yvette Schreiber. Don't go away.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cuny is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancuny.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan.
The storm's coming.
The legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Captain Dracula. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruzandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. I want to make a push before we get back into our interview to let you know that we're constantly making changes to our business website, which is www.smallbusinesstodaymagazine.com. We're including some new things. If there are some articles in there that you feel need to be placed in about your business, or you want to hear from a specific type of advisor, please let us know. What we do for you. So if you want to go in there and make a comment or send an email, you could always email Irv right here on the show at
Irvin at cruzandhughes.com.
Or you could email me at john@cruzandhughes.com.
Oh, by the way, that's Irvin with an E.
Irvin with an E. Ervin.
Yeah.
Because some people think it's Irving, like Irving Magic Johnson.
Or they think it's spelled correctly with an I. And I didn't spell it correctly. It's with an E.
Yeah, it's Ervin. Yeah. All right, let's get back to our interview. Our guest today is Miss Yvette Schreiber. Yvette is the president of a company called YRSadvisors.com. And if you've listened to the first segment, then you know that she advises companies that are generally in the energy, legal, financial services, information technology, and education sectors. Now, Yvette, I want to ask you a question about small businesses. What is it that you see that they need most?
They need advisement. I mean, what I find...
On what level, though?
On the level of running the business. They have great ideas. I mean, this isn't a knock on the small business leader, because those are great guys and women. They have great ideas, but that great idea has to be in this business format. And a lot of times they don't understand the whole business piece of it, especially in a small business environment, which is volatile, extremely volatile.
Sure. And I guess a lot of things too, whatever their idea is, do you find that small businesses a lot of times need to have help in trying to package their idea so it can be presented?
Well, yeah, they need the help in packaging it, but a lot of times they have a lot of ideas on how to put it together, but just getting it out to the public in a way that shows, one, they have something to offer to their target audience, and one, getting to that target audience, and then running the business itself. Because a lot of times when you're in it and you've got this great idea, then you find out you got payroll and taxes and all this other stuff and rent and all these other things that are part of what you would call operations.
Sure.
And then you also still have to be thinking, what is my strategic, what's my vision?
Right.
How am I going to get there? So I'm here today, but where I want to be in a year, where do I want to be in 5 years? What is this going to be what we call a going concern for a long term? Is it going to be some sort of legacy that I'm going to leave? Is it a shorter term project that I want to get it up and running and sell it? All those kind of things then start to be left to the side a lot of times, because it's not the fun part, which is doing the idea that they have.
Right.
I'm reminded of certain industries when you made the comment about, is this going to be a long-term concern, or is this something that we're going to be able to leave a legacy out, my children would eventually take over? I think a lot of that really depends on what it is that you do, because let's think about it. If this were 20 years ago and you did editing on VHS tapes, or you manufactured VHS tapes, or you produced CDs, technology changes your industry in a flash. So you have to not only be so focused in working in that business, but also looking through the periscope, if you will, out far enough down the road to see how the market is changing and what changes you have to make. I see a lot of businesses, Yvette, that don't make those changes. And then all of a sudden they wake up one day and they find out that they're no longer relevant. And at the last minute, you can be left scrambling, figuring out, okay, now what do I do? I've got this great company, but I got a product that nobody wants anymore. So now how do you get someone to take that time and effort? Because I think about it, I mean, most small businesses are understaffed, they're underfunded, and I'm so busy putting out fires, I don't have time to really look at the full scope of what it is that I'm doing and how I relate to an entire market or a sector. How do you do that?
Well, part of that is what we bring to the table. We do a lot of that research for them. So instead of saying, you go off and figure out what the landscape is going to look like, in 5 months to 5 years, we do a lot of that research. I mean, I have access to a lot of research that I can get this information to them, and I can start alerting them to the fact that, what you're doing right now, the trend that we're seeing is that this isn't going to be relevant in X amount of years, and so they can start planning for it. Now, trends are one of those things where I'll tell them, we're going to have to follow this trend throughout it and see whether or not this comes to fruition. But that's what I bring to the table. It's not just saying, okay, what are we going to do today? But it's, if you want to have this business up and running for any length of time, then we need to make sure that you have the information available to you to do that.
Now, Yvette, let me ask you, when you come into a business, and maybe it's a prospective business, and you're taking a look at them for the first time, what kinds of information do they need to give you, or what kinds of information do you ask for? Because I'm sure you're being an advisor, there is a particular discovery phase, perhaps, that you go through just in data gathering so that you can, get some information on where the business may be having trouble. What kinds of information should a business owner have for you?
Well, financials are one of them.
Okay.
I mean, that's important. We need to look at those and see whether or not there's any problem there, because a lot of times, that's where we find where the holes are.
Yeah.
But I also like to sit and talk to them about, what did they have in mind when they put this together?
Mm-hmm.
What was your vision?
Mm-hmm.
And are you there? Have you reached it? Did you reach the original vision and now you're sitting here going, well, I accomplished that. Now what do I do? Mm-hmm. Or did you have this vision and somewhere along the way you never made it there?
Got off the freeway.
That's right.
That's right.
And you never made it there, and you're sort of sitting off on the side of the road trying to figure out, how did I get here? Mm-hmm. And now how do I get back to where I want to be? And what is that going to take to get to where I want to be? So it is a lot of talking to them to figure out, what was in your head when you created this. And then we get down to financials and looking over all the stuff that they have paperwork-wise.
I kind of like that approach. Some advisors, they come in and they're filling out these forms and they're really academic about how they're doing the advisement that they're giving. Mm-hmm. But taking just a few minutes, let's push everything to the side and let me just get into your head for a moment. I really like that, because I think that sometimes, when an owner has an opportunity just to say what they feel, there's something that comes out that really helps you understand, okay, so this is what your true purpose is.
Oh, yes.
And how many times have we talked to someone, when you start asking enough questions?
That's right.
It sort of turns into something completely different than the reason that they brought you in the first place.
That's exactly right. And not only that, but you can almost see the relief as they talk. They really start to feel better about whatever decision. Because what I find a lot of times, and maybe you can chime in on this, Yvette, a lot of times what I find is business owners know what it is they need to do, but boy, they've been having trouble doing that.
Well, that's the pain that you were talking about.
That is true. I mean, I've often told my clients, this is not something that's rocket science, what I'm about to tell you need to do. You probably know you need to do this. And they'll say, well, yes, I did. But there can be a lot of hesitation to do this, especially when you're trying to do it by yourself.
Right.
There's fear. We don't know. There's fear of the unknown.
Right.
So you don't know what you're about to do. If I turn, for instance, your example of being off-road, if I decide to go around that block to try to find my way back to the freeway, is it going to be safe?
Yeah.
Am I actually going to find my way back, or am I going to now be even more lost than I was before? So a lot of times what happens is and it's human nature. You just sort of dig in and say, okay, well, this is the best I can do.
Right. And I'll just flounder here for a minute until somebody throws me a life preserver.
Exactly.
Now, Yvette, you say that 3 things that a business owner needs: an attorney, a good CPA, and also you.
Me.
And now, what do you say to those people who say, well, you know what, I get my best business advice from my attorney and from my CPA?
Well, I always say, attorneys know the law.
Right.
I hope they do.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least that's why you should be hiring them.
That's why you're hiring. CPA should know the tax code.
That's right.
That's a big deal.
Yep.
But when it comes to running a business, they know how to run their business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it doesn't mean that the advice they're giving is wrong per se, but I spend my time studying economic development, trends that are going on, all this stuff that's way outside of the law or financial
tax codes
and stuff like that. I'm looking at the business world and seeing how we're going to keep you going, given the fact that this new thing is about to happen to you.
Wow.
So you really are a strategist also.
Yes.
That's see, I see, the more you talk, the more I think you're more of a strategist. That's where what I see, because I could see small businesses needing you big time, because business owners need that third neutral party to that nobody else in the company, no employee is going to say, hey, you know what, your idea sucks.
Exactly.
Nobody is going to say that. But a third neutral party can say, well, you know what, I understand where you're trying to go, but maybe we ought to rethink that. And because nobody else in the company is going to do that.
I mean, I call it objective clarity.
Yeah,
I'm outside of the business, so I can look at it objectively and with clear vision, and then come and say, okay, this is what I really think you need to do. If you take my advice, you have a higher probability of success.
Right, absolutely. And see, that's and that's where I think there is so much value in having an advisor, and I couldn't agree with you more. I do believe that more small business owners need to know that, yes, you need an advisor. You need somebody, even if it's only for the benefit of accountability.
Yeah.
You know, to hold your feet to the fire and do what you said you were going to do.
I'll tell you what, when we come back, we should probably talk about what you should expect from an advisor and how do you hire one.
Well, you know what? That's a very good idea. Folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by Small Business Today magazine. If you have not gotten your free digital copy, you can go to our website at smallbusinesstodaymagazine.com. Stay with us. We'll return in just a moment. More with Miss Yvette Scheiber right after this.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan. The storm coming. The legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham Reckoning. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Our guest today is Miss Yvette Schreiber. Yvette is a business consultant. She's with a company called YRS Advisors. You can connect with her through her business website, which is yrsadvisors.com. We went to break. We were setting up our next question, which was, how do you hire an advisor? What should you expect? What's the deliverable that I should get? And now let's talk about some of those things.
Okay. Now, I can mostly speak to what I do with the clients. But I think what you should expect from an advisor is they're going to, one, I mean, this may seem very simple, but they need to have good communication skills.
Right.
You're not going to find out what a business owner needs or is having a problem with if you can't communicate with them. And it's not really communicating with them how much you know, but it's being able to draw out of them what that thing that they don't want to tell you.
Right.
Because a lot of times when you're dealing, especially dealing with a problem, now with a growth side, it's not so much, but when you're dealing with a company that's having a problem, sometimes it's really hard for a business owner to say, well, you know, I just didn't do X.
Right.
It can be embarrassing. So it's really important to have really good communication skills. The other thing is to be, in my opinion, credentialed. Now, sometimes that can be scary, you know, when you're a small business looking at somebody with a lot of credentials, you know, automatically start hearing cha-ching.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
You shouldn't. The credentials means that person is keeping up with what's going on.
Sure.
As you were stating before, things change rapidly. And for small businesses, it is extremely volatile. You know, if you're a large corporation, you're sort of the big ship moving the water.
Right.
If you're that little dinghy off to the side, you're getting moved by the water.
Tossed
That's
about.
right. You're being tossed about. So you need to make sure that they are continuing their education or getting their credentials or keeping up with that. The next thing is that they should have some information or some knowledge, whether it's experience, that's best, but experience with credentials of your particular industry. Again, when I was talking about I don't do retail, you know, there's a lot of people who might go out there and say, well, you know, you're still small and I can just handle it.
I'm all things to all people.
Right. You don't want the jack of all trades. You really want somebody who can zero in on what you do and can speak your language.
Yeah.
Every industry has lingo.
Yeah.
That's right.
And if you don't know that lingo, you have no idea what anybody's talking about when they're there.
Which goes back to your ability to communicate.
Correct.
Yeah, because now if you got somebody in the energy industry, and now you're dealing with somebody in retail, boy, good luck if you start using some retail terms in the energy. With an energy client. I mean,
correct.
They don't know what you're talking about.
You know, based on what you're telling me, I'm reminded of something that my mentor shared with me years ago when I was a salesperson. And he told me, John, the biggest asset of any salesperson is his ears, not his mouth. And it sounds like that's the same thing that you're saying.
It is.
Because you want to encourage them to talk and give you information that you can then process to figure out what the issues are and how best for us to put a strategy together to overcome those issues.
Exactly. I mean, they were there before I got there.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not like they didn't have any clue or something like that when they started the business. They're just to a point now where they need somebody else in there, again, objective, you know, clarity, to say, okay, this is how we keep moving it forward so we can reach your vision.
Sure.
And can I say this? When you go to the doctor, it doesn't do you any good to lie to your physician.
Right.
Because if you're hurting in your chest and you don't tell him, how can they properly diagnose what your problem is? When I've seen this so many times that you will a person will pay someone to come in and advise them, but then they hide things from their advisor.
That's tough.
And I know that you run into that.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, I'd love to encourage small business people, if you're going to pay for support, you don't lie to your doctor, you don't lie to your attorney. and you definitely don't lie to the person that you're paying to come in and give you business advice.
That's so true. I mean, eventually it's going to come out.
It's going to come out. That's right.
Yeah.
If you're a good advisor.
If they're a good advisor,
That's right.
they're going to flush it out of you.
That's right.
Now, we do have a question here in the chat room, and the question is does having a vision make a successful business?
It makes you have a better chance at a successful business, but it does not make a successful business.
Okay.
We see all these things on the magazine covers. I remember a couple of years ago, there was some guy standing in his pajamas and he'd made $1 million and it was all really great and fine and dandy. That's the one guy out of the 100 who did it.
Yeah.
He had this great vision and he just did it, and he only works 4 hours a week or something.
Lightning does strike from time to time.
It does. I mean, we can name off a lot of those.
Right.
But for the most part, you have to get in there and work really hard at it, and then work, and not to be cliche but work really smart at it.
Yeah.
And to me, working really smart at it is to have a group of people around you who can help you do that, not just trying to figure out how to work really smart at it by yourself.
Right.
Irv, as Yvette talks, I'm just thinking that there's really no formula for guaranteed success.
No.
Really, it's when you think about it, putting a business plan together, having a vision, being focused on working on the business more than working in the business. Those are all steps that will help get you to that level of success, but there is no guarantee. That's just the bottom line. I mean, think about how many companies we see that dump millions and millions into companies. They hire the best talent, they get the best software and processes, and the products just never catch on. There's really no guarantee. Money doesn't guarantee success.
No, they just fail.
All of this, these things help you get to that point, but there's no guarantee. I mean, the bottom line is you just got to get in there and swing the bat, and hopefully you hit something.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen multi-billion-dollar companies just collapse, just erode and collapse. And so, if money were the ticket, then these guys already had billions of dollars at their disposal, either from sales or investment or both, and that didn't save them.
Look at Research in Motion. I mean, you look a couple years ago, they were, one of the top companies out there. Now, I mean, you take a company of that size, is fighting every single day not to go out of business. I mean, it happens.
Right, it absolutely happens.
And I'm certain that they have a vision. I'm certain that they had a plan. I'm certain that they hired the best people.
Absolutely.
It's just that magic did not come together with them. And I think those things help you become successful, but there's no guarantee.
Well, I mean, if you look at Research in Motion, a lot of what happened to them happens to companies of all sizes. They forget to see what's happening around them.
Absolutely.
And what happened around them was iPhone.
And Android.
Yep. And that happened, and that gave people capability that they did not have on this text-only thing called the BlackBerry.
Let me tell you, I was a BlackBerry proponent. I mean, there was no bigger BlackBerry person than me. And then all of a sudden, I'm sitting next to a guy in a meeting one day, and he pulls up my website, and it looks exactly like my website.
Yes.
I pull it up on my BlackBerry.
Yeah,
anything like it.
It's like somebody spilled soup on my screen. And so, and you're right, and they did not conform fast enough.
Right.
So don't let that happen to you. Now we're getting a little off the subject, but let's get into how important it is to give back. Now, one of the things that I believe in emphatically in terms of being successful, your vision and what you do has to mean something to someone other than yourself. Who are you benefiting? And I know that you're involved in something whereby you're giving to the community. I want to hear a little bit about that.
Well, when I started the company, I thought, there has to be, like you were just saying, there has to be two reasons that I'm working this hard. One is to help those small business owners and executives. That's a primary purpose, and to be in business and to make money, that's important. But the other half was to give back. I mean, as long as I can remember, my dad used to take me around. He had this little bitty insurance route, and I used to wonder, why does he have this? Because he's not an insurance guy. And he told me later it's because these people couldn't really afford to go with big insurance companies, and plus he got to sit there with these mostly elderly people and brighten their day by just coming by to get things that were like $2 and $5 payments.
Right.
And so so that was when I was like 7, 8 years old. And all my life, it was all about, you give to charity. You sort through your old clothes when you outgrow them.
Right.
You don't throw them away. You give them to charity.
Yeah.
So I was at a networking event and met a man named Mel Gross, who is in...
I know Mel.
You know Mel.
Yeah, Mel is in the insurance and financial business.
Yes, he is. And he's also a Rotarian. He's in the Rotary Club of Houston. And he invited me to come check him out. And when I got there, a very nice group of people. I thought, well, this is great. But he also told me about this award, the Phillips 66 Rotary Lombardi Award.
Wow.
Now, in my
Phillips
world,
66.
yes,
Wow.
That's one of our sponsors.
That's what I said.
That's
Wow.
new. Yeah, that's the new leak thing.
Okay, all right.
But in my world, there's football season and waiting for football season. And this is a football award. I mean, how much better can that be?
Absolutely. And it carries the Lombardi name.
And it carries the Lombardi name, which only two do, and one is the Super Bowl trophy, and us.
Yeah.
That's kind of it as far as big, awards. One college one, one professional one.
How cool is that?
And it also raises money for cancer awareness and patient care.
Wow.
And that gave me a chance as a because I'm a small business owner.
Certainly.
That gave me a chance to be involved in a big ticket charity that I alone could not afford.
Yeah.
Ticket myself.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
And so, now you guys do a gala or you do an event once a year?
That's right. We do an event, an award show, and this year it's going to be awesome. It's going to be December 5th, and it's going to be at the Hobby Center.
The Hobby Center here in Houston.
That's
Very
right.
fine
December
place.
5th.
That's right. And televised.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's going to help.
We might have to see if we can score some tickets
I was
to
going
that.
to say, man, maybe we need
to pull out our checkbook.
That's exactly right, man. Wow.
I'm here to take whatever that you want to give me.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, we're going to hold right there. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this, about giving back and some of the things that you've been doing and some of the things you could recommend for small businesses to do to give back.
Sounds great.
Okay. Folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by RingCentral.com. To get RingCentral's virtual PBX for your business, you can call them today at 888-716-5022. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Turn up the sales on your website today with AnythingInternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with AnythingInternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is
Coffee News. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
free.
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for Coffee News. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's Coffee News.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan. The storm's coming. The legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham Reckoning. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruzandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. If you're just joining in, our guest today is Miss Yvette Schreiber. Yvette is the president and CEO of a company called YRS Advisors. And if you would like to connect with her, she does advisement for companies all over the United States. You can go to www.yrsadvisors.com. Now, Yvette, we've been talking a little bit about what you do specifically for small businesses. We've also talked about your giving back and the event that you're involved in, the Phillips 66, which I haven't heard that said in a long time.
That's right.
Lombardi Award. Now, let's talk a little bit about peer advisory, because I know that you're involved in a peer advisory group.
Correct.
Tell me, do you think it's worth it for small businesses to get involved in peer advisory? And for those of you who do not know what peer advisory is, I'm going to let Yvette explain that.
Okay. Peer advisory is basically other people at the same level that you are get together. It's a confidential type gathering where you can discuss issues that you're having in business. And I think peer advisory groups are good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that it gives you a chance to be with people who are going through some of the same things you are. So, I mean, you know, you're not going to be in a peer advisory group with a company that's been there for 20 years if you're a startup. You'll be in a group that has basically the same
similar sizes.
That's
yeah.
right. And similar in, profitability
Industry.
and, industry, not so much, but it usually is around how profitable you are and how long you've been around.
Okay.
And I think there's a great idea. The difference between the peer advisory groups and having an advisor is, one, I see is you're getting an opinion.
Right.
And opinions are great, but they're going to give you an opinion about things that they've done. When you hire an advisor, you hire me.
Mm-hmm.
I've got skin in the game because you're my client. So I'm looking at it and any advisor should be looking at it not from the standpoint of how do I do business, but how do you need to do business given where you are and your vision for your company.
Right. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
No.
Meaning that, because this worked over here with this guy who owned a trucking company, this is automatically going to work for someone who is in durable medical equipment sales.
Correct.
And I know, I see what you're saying. So don't think that approach that worked over here is automatically going to work as it relates to you and your business.
That's right.
Now, when it comes to peer advisory, I think it's a great thing also because, some of the people that are sitting around that table that are talking, they have solved similar problems that you may be going through as well. And for me, I think that's the biggest takeaway that I saw with my experience in peer advisory is that, generally if you're working with companies around the same size, I may be having an issue with motivating employees or something like that, and somebody else said, hey, I used to have that problem a couple of years ago, and this is what I did, and this is what really worked for us. Like you said, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
No.
It's an option.
It's an option, and it also makes it so you're not by yourself.
Right.
I mean, a lot of times what happens with small business owners and executives, you're alone.
You get to be solo artists.
You do. Even if you have employees, you're not going to go tell your employees,
no.
I'm really feeling really bad because this thing is happening. I mean,
Although,
don't do that.
I know some people, small business people who do. I think that they share too much information with their employees.
Yes.
So what you're saying is that you should not be having that kind of conversation.
You should not be having that conversation. I mean, it scares your employees. I mean, don't scare your employees. employees.
Like you don't know how close we came to going out of business last night.
Yeah.
You know?
It was on the edge. We were about to drop over the cliff. This is
But then I hit 21, and now we're good for another month. You know?
Exactly. That's something you probably want to keep to yourself and among your peers.
Yeah.
Just thinking.
Yeah. I hit red 18.
It worked.
So we're still here.
So I think peer advisory is something that is good, but I really love the fact that you pointed out the fact that this is not a fix for what your specific problem is, and that is one of the things that you hire an advisor to do, to come in and look at your situation as it relates to your industry and your setup, and then help you find something that gets you over those obstacles.
Exactly. I mean, an advisor should be there for you and for your needs and to help you navigate the road you're on. Your friends or your peers, they may just care about you to death, but they really, again, don't have skin in the game. If they give you something to do and it doesn't work, it didn't work.
Yeah.
But if you have an advisor and they continuously give you something that's not working, well, you probably need to,
Now, Yvette, I've got a question I've got to ask. I want to get this in before we leave the show, and that is, how do you advise somebody who doesn't have clearly defined objectives on where they want to go? How do you, I mean, I've seen instances where people have said they wanted an advisor, but then they don't really have clearly defined objectives. They don't have anything to measure with. And so now you're in an advisory role, and you got this constant moving, changing target.
Right.
How do you deal with that?
I deal with it by sort of going back into a coaching role.
Okay.
Part of advising is sometimes you have to just be a coach and say, let's step back and say, why are you here?
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll just ask that question.
Sure.
Why did you decide to start the business? And then listen to, again, it's that listening thing. Listen to what they're telling me and then key off of what they're saying to ask other questions.
Sure.
I've been asked by clients should I be in business? And so we'll take that one and go with it. And I'll say, okay, let's not come to a conclusion. Let's walk it through and see, why are you here? Why did you decide to do this? Is it the right fit for you? And most of the time we get to the end of it, and it isn't that they shouldn't be in business.
Right.
They were out there, they felt alone, and they needed somebody to talk through it and needed to get them, again, refocused on why they're there.
I've been stunned at the number of people who want to get out of the business that they started because it wasn't fun anymore for them.
Yes.
I mean, I have heard that so much, and I'll bet you a good 6 to 7 out of 10 people have literally said, Irv, it's just not fun anymore. I'm not sure I want to keep doing this. And
well, that was the reason I got out of the mortgage business. You're explaining me to it.
Yeah, it's just not fun.
It just wasn't fun.
It wasn't money. It wasn't that they didn't have success. It wasn't any of that. They had great skill set and all that, but all of a sudden, man, that thing just was no fun at all.
That's because, really and truly, running a business isn't fun. Running a business should be rewarding.
Okay.
But there are a lot of things about running a business that are flat out not fun.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
True.
When you got to do your franchise taxes, and I haven't found anybody yet who goes, boy, I can't wait.
Fun.
Oh yeah, that's just great. I can't wait to do that again.
I like that. It's not fun, but it is rewarding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm wondering how many people, John, are equating fun and rewarding maybe synonymously somehow.
Well, and that could be the case, but I kind of 100% about what you do is not always going to be fun.
Right.
There is an aspect to your business that is fun. That is the reason why you probably got into business. But there are some other critical things that have to be done and have to be minded. That like you say, doing taxes and handling legal issues and dealing with employee conflict. And see, none of that's fun for me.
And it's not.
Yeah, but it is very necessary, and I think that you're going to have that issue with any growing concern.
Right.
So
I used to call it CEO stuff.
And that's exactly what it is. I mean,
exactly
it's I have to tell my daughter that when she asks me, "Why are you not feeling?" I've been handling CEO stuff.
Yeah,
all day.
that's what I do. That's what I would tell my children.
When we come back, can we talk a little bit about pricing? How you price your clients? I know that there's no one size fits all price, but let's talk a little bit about that so people can know what to expect.
Okay.
All right, folks. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes, and listen, if you have not gotten a chance to download your free trial copy of Sales Nexus customer relationship management system, you can do so by going to salesnexus.com. Stay with us. We're in the home stretch. The education continues in just a moment.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cuny is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancuny.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan. The storm's coming. The legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Captain Dracula. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Our guest today has been Miss Yvette Schreiber. She is the president of YRS Advisors. If your company is in need of advisement, if you need to be more focused on working on your business than in your business, then you definitely want to give Yvette a call, and you can do so by reaching her at 832-308-2407, or you could go to her website, which is yrsadvisors.com. Let's talk a little bit about pricing. Now, if someone is hiring you, how do you price them? Are you pricing these companies according to their size, number of employees? Because I'm sure the larger the company, the more hours it would call for you to be involved in helping them work through their issues.
Right. We look at, I look at one, this is where you get back to financials. Where are they standing financially?
Sure.
I mean, you've got to be able to invest in yourself to hire an advisor.
Right.
So if you're at a point right now where you can't, then I actually do take some, at least once a year, we take one pro bono case of
Very
some,
nice.
company that we really believe in
Yeah.
to get them to profitability. But generally what I'm doing is I'm sitting there looking and saying, okay, what do you want to do? How far are you along? And then we custom pricing. We do custom pricing to them. So again, it's not a one size fits all. We
Okay.
have to look at it and say, how much time do you need?
Right.
Do you want to meet with us every week? Do you want to meet with me once a month? Are we looking at meeting every other week? We kind of look at all that, look and see what is the depth and breadth of the issue that you have. Is it you're trying to grow into a new marketplace? Are you trying to handle a problem? All that kind of stuff. So it's a real custom pricing scheme.
I like that. It's a customizable approach according to what your issue is, your size, and what you can afford. So
Right.
Good job.
Awesome.
Yvette, we thank you so much for coming on the show today to talk about your company, and we'd love to have you back again soon.
Oh, thank you. And I'd love to come back. But I did want one thing. It's 832-308-3407.
3407. You should have corrected me the first time.
No,
Guys,
it's okay.
I'm so sorry about that. We'll get it right the next time you come.
Not a problem.
Our guest today has been Miss Yvette Schreiber. If you want to get in touch with her, you can do so at her phone number that she just gave or going to her website at yrsadvisors.com. Irv and I want to thank you for tuning in with us today on Small Business Today. I'm John Cruz.
I'm Irv Hughes.
And this is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. So until tomorrow, be smart, be successful, and above all else,
be in action.
Irv and I will see you tomorrow, and go Texans.